Hello everyone, I'm your host Rich Hagan, welcoming you to episode 1 of Profiles. Each week we'll talk with 3 members of the Magic Pro League about what really matters to them, inside and outside the game of Magic. For our opening show, it's World Champions all the way. What else is there to be said about Paulovita Dharmadorosa? He's seen by many as the greatest of all time. He's the leader in top finishes with a mind-blowing 17 appearances, and just capped off his career with a breathtaking victory over Marcio Carvalho at the Magic World Championship 26. The Brazilian superstar won Brazilian Nationals in 2006, made it to the top 8 of the World Championships in Paris that year. He hasn't let up since. He's the all-time winning money leader in Magic history and has been a member of the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Hall of Fame since 2012. I know a lot of people will want to get onto what they think of as very important topics about your World Championship win, about Brazil, about life, about how to be good at Magic and so on. But I want to go straight for the throat here and let's get to the important stuff. Let's talk Disney movies. So how did you get in to Disney movies? Where does that love come from?
I mean, I was young and I lived in a somewhat remote location. There weren't a lot of kids around, so a lot of what I did is just watch Disney movies. You know, we had a tape, and there were 5, 6, 7 movies that I just watched over and over and over. That was before we had cable TV or anything like that, so there wasn't that much to watch. Okay. I guess I just watched them a lot and I liked them. And that's where it comes from. Okay,
so what generation of films are we talking about? What is in the sort of the shelf of the things that you watch over and over then?
Well, it was The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, and Sleeping Beauty. I think were the 4 that I watched the most. And I had some others, but I liked this 4 the most back then.
Okay, so you're in the classic Alan Menken musicals sort of era there, with Beauty and the Beast particularly, and Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I guess. I don't actually know, but
yeah, you can trust me on.
I'll believe you.
Bit. Okay, so let's just make sure that we can agree on the important stuff. What is the best Disney movie of all time?
So I think it's Mulan right now, even though it's a bit old, not older, newer than.
Sure. I mean, you were good to go with.
You don't agree?
Well, no, it's Tangled. I mean, this is...
Oh, Tango's not bad, but I wouldn't put Tango in the top 5.
Not bad? Not bad? Oh, dear Lord. This isn't... I thought we'd have a nice, easy start to the interview where we could just agree on, well, obviously it's Tangled, and then there are these other things. Okay, so you think Mulan, and then what else is in your top 5? The ones you remember from childhood?
Not all of them. I think Sleeping Beauty was the one that I liked the most when I was younger, but I don't think it aged that well.
Sure.
Like, if I watch it today, I don't think it's in the top 5. So my top 5 would probably be Mulan, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid. And I think of Anastasia in my top 5, even though it's not a Disney movie.
It's so good, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
I like it so much. So I feel like it's an honorary Disney movie to put in the top 500.
Is that Meg Ryan in Anastasia? Does she do the voice for that? And John Cusack? I think that's right.
I don't actually know.
I think that's true. But okay, so we're prepared to call Anastasia a Disney movie for those purposes. You've redeemed yourself because we agree Anastasia is a lovely film. So good. All right, way
better than Tangled, right?
How much of either your income or the pro's income is about specifically tournament results and the cash prize at the end of it? And how much is about, well, I'm streaming, I have a revenue there. I'm wearing a shirt, I have a revenue there. I'm doing articles, I have a revenue there. How much is it directly about prizes?
It's less about prizes than about the other things, I think, because the other things are more constant, right? I'm a writer. I write every week for Star City. And that is a thing that's happening. It's happening right now. Right now, there are no tournaments. We're all quarantined, and who knows when there'll be a tournament again. But I can still write. That's a constant in my life. Mm-hmm. And then there's the MPL and Rivals right now, which is also money that you get that is not related to your tournament finish, at least not of that year, which is from previous year.
Yeah.
So I think a reasonable amount of it is I don't know the exact numbers. Obviously, it depends on how well you do in tournaments, right? Tournaments are very spiky. You might win a tournament, and then that's going to be that year it's a huge percentage, and then other years it's almost zero.
Are you coming up to? Obviously, I don't have the exact date on my wall. How long have you been married now?
1.5 years.
Was there a point at which the two of you tried to look into the future and see how realistic magic as a living was going to be? Or was it, look, we're in this together, I know you love doing magic, go do magic, we'll figure it out as we go?
It is hard because I don't have a retirement plan, right? As magic is not, it's not something that, I don't have a corporate job that I know it's going to be here for 30 more years and then I'm going to retire and move to Florida. Like it's just not a thing that is part of my lifestyle, but it could be something that is part of hers, right? And I think that is why I can't play magic, because she has a more normal job and she has a more constant job, more consistent sort of income. So she can do the ups and downs. Like she can stabilize me in the ups and downs, right? Because it is scary to think we're going to have kids, and then what's going to happen when, say, we have 2 kids in the future, I just do badly for an entire year, right? If I'm the only source of income, that's really rough, right? Yeah. But there's also her steady income. And then when I go like this, she goes like this, and then it remains more flat.
So let's bring things up to date. And you are the reigning Magic the Gathering World Champion. Does that get old, thinking of that?
It's like the Hall of Fame. I'll always be a Magic Hall of Famer, and then I'll always be a Magic World Champion, even though I might not be the current World Champion in the future. It's always something that I'll have with me. It's never going to get old.
So we end, as we always do, with the questionnaire, and we send these to all our players in advance. So, Paolo, here we go. What is your favorite word or phrase in Magic?
At the end of your turn.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, we like that one. Okay, I hardly need to ask the next one then. What's your favorite color?
It's blue.
Yeah, of course it is. Yes. What's your favorite card?
Vendilion Click.
Okay.
Are you sensing a theme?
Yeah, a little bit. Are you really sad that Bitter Blossom isn't blue?
No, I like black too.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I like blue-black as a combination, so I'm happy I had an excuse to play that.
Yeah, so intellectual and evil is what you're saying. Okay.
Well, ambitious.
Okay, pardon me. All right, what's the best deck you ever played? Tell us the format and the time.
I think the best deck I ever played for one tournament was, it was at Brazilian Nationals. It was Cold Snap Standard. And it was there's no Enduring Ideal deck that Akira Azahara had played in Japanese Nationals the week before, or the day before, actually, because I think Japan is hours ahead of us, time zone-wise.
Yep.
So I just copied his list the day before the tournament, and I felt like I outclassed all of my opponents. And my deck was just doing something fundamentally much better than anyone else. It also, a friend tested with me and did the same thing, and he also did very well in the tournament. So even though it might not have been the best deck, even for that format, I think for that tournament, it was the biggest edge I've ever felt.
Okay. Within its own format and time, what is the best deck ever, in your opinion?
I think it's very likely that I did not play Magic when that happened, because back then the edges were much bigger than you can get now, right? So one common answer that I've seen to this question is like, Necro Donate.
Sure. Right?
People like Demonic Consultation, Dark Ritual, Necropotence, and these cards were just so much better than everything else that I believe that the answer probably lies somewhere in the far past of Magic. But for a while I've been playing, I think I would probably say Callblade, which was the blue-white deck with Squadron Hawk and Stoneforge Mystic and Jace that Ben won PT. Was it Ben?
So Amsterdam roundabout, then 2010, Paris in 2011.
It was Paris, yeah.
With Ben S.
Because so many people in our team did well. Yeah, Ben. Yeah, the one that Ben won. We crushed that tournament. And that is what I think when I think of, a deck that is better than everything else. It's like, this deck is the new Callblade. Right, I've said that, I've seen that said, So I think, to me, the fact that I refer to a deck that's better than everything else as the new Caw-Blade means that Caw-Blade was probably the best deck for a while I've been playing Magic, but I think the answer is likely something from the past.
Sure. Okay, what turns you on? What lights your fire?
In what regard? Like, I think...
Any regard you like,
many
Paolo?
ways to... So, intelligence, I think, is something that turns me on in general, like obviously in relationship, but also friends and, intelligent plots and books and movies, intelligent conversations. I like things that make sense and people who learn, and like that means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And from a more philosophical standpoint, I think fantasy is something that really turns me on. I've always liked, magic, dragons, elves, wizards, this kind of thing. And that is a sure way to get me to be interested in anything, right? I think, I read a lot, and all that I read are fantasy novels. I watch a lot of, Harry Potter is my favorite book. That's because there's magic in it.
Right.
I play Magic. The reason I play Magic is because there was a dragon in the cover, right? If there was a battle tank in the cover, I would not be playing Magic, because I just really, really like this setting in general of fantasy, and it's a sure way to get me to turn on anything, and games, books, movies, conversations, anything.
What's your favorite curse word?
I literally never curse.
Really?
Really. Literally never.
Wow. Are you never tempted to try?
No.
Just to find out what it's like?
No.
All right. Other than gaming,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other than gaming, what profession would you like to try?
I think writer. Obviously, I feel like I already am a writer, right? I write about magic a lot. I've been writing for over 10 years, but novelist, I guess, would be a better answer. Because I like to write, and I like fantasy so much. As I told you, I read a lot. And so I think I would like to one day write a fantasy novel of my own. But I don't know how far in the future that is, or if it's ever going to happen, but I imagine myself doing it from time to time.
Awesome. Maybe that's something to do on the trips from Brazil to all the tournaments you're still going to. All right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Final question. If at some point you are no longer playing Magic competitively, you're not a pro, what do you hope that people will say about you, both as a Magic player, but also as a person?
I think as a Magic player, I would like to be known for my body of work, probably. Because I think, obviously, I'm a very good player. I have many titles, but other people can have that too, right? Given enough time. And there are a lot of very good players in the game. But I think the articles that I've written and the strategic impact that I've had in that is very important to me. So it makes me feel better when someone compliments my articles than when they compliment my play, for example. Because I know I'm a good player, right? You're like a player, thank you. I do that often, and often I don't. But for writing is much more subjective, right? So if you compliment my writing, that means I'm doing something right, because the goal is to get you to like it. The goal is to get you to learn something. So yeah, I think I would like people to see me as someone who, help people learn and be better Magic players through articles or videos or podcasts or whatever I end up doing. That would be how I would like to be referred to. And as a person, I would hope that it hasn't gotten over my head. I always try to remain kind and approachable, and I would like people to remember me as a human. Basically, I have very strong feelings on a lot of things, both good and bad. So just remembering that I am an actual person, not just this Magic player. And hopefully I've made other people feel like I am a person and they can talk to me and they can relate to me in some way.
Paolo Vita Dama da Rosa, reigning Magic the Gathering World Champion. Thanks for being on Profiles.
Thank you.
Javier Dominguez has made himself a home at the top of the Magic world. Almost no one reaches the finals of the World Championship. To do it 2 years in a row, virtually unheard of. But that's exactly what Dominguez did in 2017 and 18, beating Grzegorz Kowalski in the final to become world champion. The two-time Spanish national champion is the favourite among his peers in pretty much every tournament he plays. He won Mythic Championship 5 just 6 months ago. So there is something about teams and teammates and friendship that you seem to fit right into that sort of generates a ton of success. So I want to sort of explore that and start with 2017, the World Championship. So how did you qualify? What were your expectations going in?
Well, I qualified for the 2017 on Pro Points, on the low part of it, like the last tournament in Kyoto. I just made top 16 unexpectedly, and well, I just sadly was qualified. Yeah, I didn't even know in the last round. I think there were some matches playing, and I think it was like 1 point difference. So it was like wow, I qualified for Worlds. Like, so that was a great moment for me.
Worlds is a very specific tournament with very, very few players. So for 2017, what was your lineup for that? What was your team group?
So I think I was teaming with Kelvin, Chris, Lichitian, and Marcio. This maybe is a misconception of teams because I think it's not all about the skills, but also about like the humans behind those skills. Like teams are also, if you're 1 week testing with a team, it's 1 week of people together, and you're gonna have like a lot of conversations, a lot of interactions. And how these humans interact with each other is also part of the team. And I think it's as important or even more important than the actual skill sets, the players have for the for like that testing or whatever, that process. Yeah, okay. Definitely.
Tell us about the captain, Li Shi-chan.
He often will just sit down with us and talk to us and see our games. And he would prefer to ask us about how the games went than play the games himself. So this way he could just gather a lot of information because he didn't have to play all the games. He just could ask me and then ask Hulk, ask Andrea, ask Simon. And then he would just, come with a conclusion like, well, I've concluded this deck should go like this and the metagame should be like this. And we would just trust his words because, yeah, he's just very good at that.
So we end up with the 2017, with that team of Kelvin Chu and Li Shi-chan and Chris Calcano and Marcio Carvalho, and you, the unheralded Javier Dominguez. You get all the way to the final. And then, of course, William Jensen beats you 3-1. There's that moment where you just kind of, you look at that last card, you shrug, you hold out the hand. And you've said to me afterwards, since, that you were just thrilled with the run. You didn't look down the mountain and go, oh God, I can't believe I've come all this way and I haven't won. You felt like you had won.
Second of Worlds was like much better than what I thought I would ever get in Magic. So I just simply could not be sad about that.
Yeah, it turns out you were wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we move on to 2018. Who is the team for 2018?
So my team for 2018 was Marcio, Andrea, Luis Salvato, and I. Was 4 people, but I also got a lot of help from Anthony, Lee, and Beatriz Plancha.
Okay.
Who helped me a lot in the testing before the tournament as well. I just, played a lot for the event, so I could use more people to test with.
Did you miss some of the 2017 team? Did you feel? I mean, obviously it's easy to say, well, I won, so not really. But did you miss them?
Yes, it's a tricky question because with teams and for tournaments, you often have a limited space. For Worlds, for example, you should play with 3 people, maybe, right? Like a small team. So it is made in a way where you will always miss people because you will like to test with all your friends, or you will like to test with all the people you like to be with, but you simply cannot because there's like a limited amount of people you can test with for a small field. So I think yes, I did, but if I had test with the same team, I would miss other people as well. So I think it's a very common. I'm pretty sure you understand. Like it's like when you're doing something, but you would maybe rather do something else as well, but you cannot do everything. So it's like you miss. But there's not much you can do about that.
Drea and I have talked about the two of you working together and then also not working together to try and learn more from other people. So how do you approach that? Do you just let it happen, or are you controlling who you play with?
For me, it is important. It is an important thing. It is not something that just happens. I think it's something that I don't know how to say it, but like I don't think it is relevant. I think it's an important stuff for tournaments. It is also a thing that impacts my experience. So I like to test with people that I like to be with. That's like the human factor is actually important for me as well. So it's not, then again, not only about like the play skills or whatever anyone does, but just also like how I feel there. Like also we're staying in a house or something, or if you're gonna talk online for hours. It is good for me to like. I think it's important to feel good doing that.
I've watched you win team series. I've watched you win Mythic Championship. Watched you win Worlds. Every time, it's like this movement side to side, and you're just kind of looking around, and it's like, really, me? Is that actually true? And I think like in a way that's one of your great strengths as a Magic player is that you don't let the belief that you're going to do it or that you deserve to do it or that you're better or that you're winning. You don't let any of that get in the way. You just keep playing and then eventually it all finishes and, oh, I won?
Yeah, I definitely, I haven't seen myself that way because it is, for me, this is me, if I see the replay or something, it is me winning. Yeah. But maybe I just do the thing. I just don't see myself like someone that I expect to win because I don't think in this game, like you can expect anyone particular to win. So I'm just trying my best. And I know I could never win again. That's something that could happen, because that's how things go. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, whenever I win something, it's a burst because even if you're close, even if you play in the finals and you're winning, you are fully aware it could just not happen because you could just lose, right? And you have to be so focused on the game itself that you can, at least myself, I'm not focusing on like, wow, I'm winning or, like I'm winning the tournament or whatever. I'm just on the game. So whenever I just disconnect from the game and return to like real life, well, there's a burst because in game, I'm just playing the game. And then I move to real life where I'm just like bursting out of happiness. That's why I feel like this rush because I'm moving from a position where I'm just trying and usually being successful at not feeling anything on that matter. Like I'm feeling it, but I don't want it to take over. So I'm just trying to be like, okay, just calm down, play the game, count your outs, try to make the best play. And then suddenly it's like, wah! So that I think that's partly why I maybe, show this, like, I can't believe it because it is just like, suddenly it just happens.
I'm going to fast forward from when you're world champion in Hawaii. I'm going to skip over a top 8 at Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan. I'm going to skip over Mythic Championship 2 in London where you make the top 8. I'm going to skip over you winning Mythic Championship 5. I'm going to skip over another top 8 at Mythic Championship 7 where you almost face Andrea in the final in 5 and 7. And all of that, I'm going to skip all that. I'm going to get to the World Championship again in Hawaii. And it seems a bit unfair because I'm getting rid of all the winning and I'm going to make you talk about all the losing. so here's the thing. Let's start again. What's the team for Honolulu?
I played with Marcio.
That first day was it your hardest day in Magic?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Nah.
Tell me, what's your hardest day in Magic if that wasn't it?
I think probably the ninth place finish in Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the Worlds 2019 is even close to that. Yeah, it's not. It is not. Uh-huh. It's not even close. Yeah, and yeah, also the miss in Pro Tour Columbus. Yeah, losing the last match to being out to Canali with Cephalic Breakfast on 2005. Yeah, that would be the second. Okay. But the ninth PT Battle for Zendikar is definitely by far the worst one. Right. Yeah, and this is not close. This Worlds is just a different thing.
What advice would you give people for what makes a team really tick?
Well, the truth is I don't really know. There's that's like if you ask what does a group of friends tick, right? There's a little bit of magic in that. What I will say though is would way to and having good teams probably means like a good way to do that is just try to be a teammate you would like to have around. Like if you like people that like to play games, like to express their thoughts, because if you do so and you become a teammate that you would like to have around, well, people that like the same thing as you do will also like to have you around, and that's how you end having like groups of people that just work well together.
Okay. We're going to finish, as we finish every conversation here on Profiles, with our questionnaire, which we send everyone in advance so they know what's coming. So here we go. Roll up the sleeves. Javier Dominguez, 2018 World Champion. What is your favorite word or phrase in Magic?
Good luck and have fun.
Good luck, have fun. Your favorite color in Magic?
Black.
All right. Well, it's your answer. You can. Okay.
Okay. You catch me. Red.
Okay, you don't get to be wrong twice.
Red.
What's
my
your
favorite color?
What's your favorite?
In Magic is red.
Okay.
But it's close.
What's
though.
your favorite? What's your favorite card?
Hazard the Fervent.
Okay, fair. What's the best deck you ever played? Tell us the format and time.
Cephalic Breakfast, 2004, Product Columbus, extended. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Within its own format and time, what do you think is the best deck ever?
I think it's probably the Flash deck, but the Legacy Flash. But I think it's more about history. Like I didn't ever play the deck, so I think it's the deck that's supposed to be the best. For me, it was when the Super Grow decks extended, when they just appeared. I was my early games in the Magic was like, wow, this deck is just so much better than everything else because it just plays less lands and good cards. And so go just Grow decks, these 12 lands decks. Yeah.
What are you passionate about? What excites you in life?
Improving, learning. Getting in a better level.
And what turns you off? What don't you like?
Being too static, not having goals, not having a direction where my life goes. Like being just standing there, just doing nothing. I don't like to do nothing.
Other than gaming, what profession would you like to try? What do you think that'd be fun to do?
Psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Being like psychology coach, trying to help people to approach things better. Yep, this kind of I think this is something I would like to try, and you never know, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. Last question. If at some point in the future you're no longer playing Magic competitively at a high level, what do you hope that people will say about you, both as a Magic player and also as a person?
Well, I will hope they say I was a worthy opponent, a respectful player, and a passionate gamer.
Javier Dominguez, 2018 World Champion, and many, many other accomplishments. One of the great teammates in the game. Thanks for being on Profiles.
Thank you very much.
William Jensen is one of the best to ever play Magic. He's a world champion, a team world champion, a member of the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Hall of Fame, and one of the only players ever to beat Kai Buddha in an elimination round of a major tournament. He won the World Championship in his hometown of Boston in 2017 and has kept getting better since. He's fresh off another top finish, a finals appearance at Players Tour Phoenix. So many players around the world are busy trying to learn the new limited format. In this case, it's Ikoria, but the lessons for that apply pretty much everywhere. How do you go about starting your limited learnings, if you like? Do you wait for the whole set to come out and then read the whole thing, or are you looking one card at a time as they're previewed?
I usually just look at the official previews as they come out, and then I sort of develop opinions based on experience and preconceived notions. Like, it's very easy to know that Lightning Strike or Doomblade is going to be a good card in basically any limited format.
Mm-hmm.
The more challenging things are knowing what's better between like a lightning strike and a shock, or perhaps, hey, I got a treat for you. Lyra is saying hi.
Oh, hello, Lyra. How are you?
Came in. So,
Fantastic.
So the more she got my headphones. The more difficult things are often knowing how the mythics and the rares are going to play. Or even in some cases the uncommons, or knowing the most difficult thing is knowing like, okay, there's a mechanic, let's say cycling, right?
Right.
Can I really do well in a draft if I just put my blinders on after a good first pick card that focuses on cycling synergies and draft that deck? Is that even viable? Does the format support it? How many players at the table can do those things? And those are sort of the things you explore on draft. The first 5-6 drafts, you figure out how the cards play.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 30, 50, 100 are figuring out viable decks, pick orders, and things like that.
So I want to go back in time with you. And who's your family growing up? Who are you living with and where? You're in Boston, is that right?
Yeah, I lived during the week with my mom and my sister, and with my dad and my sister on the weekends. My parents had joint custody, so we spent the week like when we went to school was from my mom's, and then the weekend at my dad's. So when I got a little bit older and I was playing Magic all weekend, I sort of was just more of just kind of did what I want. It wasn't so structured.
I was reading in preparation for our chat the Hall of Fame website, and you talked there about not only your mum and dad, but also Tom and Judy Shea as being very important to your sort of formative years. Can you just tell us a bit about the two of them? Who are Tom and Judy Shea?
Yeah, Tom and Judy Shea own TJ Collectibles in Milford, Massachusetts, the local game store where when did I start going to TJ's? So, I started playing in 95. I started going to tournaments in, let's say 96, but it might have been 95.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I didn't get to TJ's. My best guess would be probably about fall of like 96. But by that point, I just wanted to play Magic all the time. And like I said, I kind of just did what I want, even when I was a kid. Like I kind of got my way a lot. So like if I wanted to go to the card store every day, I kind of would just go to the card store every day. Like that's sort of just the dynamic of how things were. So the thing was, the card store wasn't that close to my house. It was a good 25 minutes from home. So what ended up happening is like, when you think about the dynamic of a kid who's in high school, right? You wake up at 7 o'clock, whatever time, I don't remember. You wake up at 7 o'clock, you're at school at 8, and you're done at 2. That's like a 1 hour window where you're at home, right? It's from 7 to 8. Then you get picked up at 2 and driven to the card store. Let's say you get picked up at 2:30, 2:15, whatever it was. You get to the card store at 3 roughly, and you stay there until 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock when it closes. But then the routine became every night at 8, Tom, Judy, myself, and another friend of mine would go have dinner somewhere, and then Tom would drive me home. So it ended up being like I took a shower in the morning, spent half an hour at home with my family, but then like really I spent a ton of time with Tom and Judy. And Tom like went out of his way. Like when I had my learner's permit, like Tom took me out to like teach me to drive. You know what I mean?
Wow.
My father did the same thing, but at least Tom did it some,
Yeah.
And so those two really went, from my perspective, above and beyond. And especially with me, but they did a lot for plenty of the kids there.
That sounds, obviously it's not technically the word, but it almost sounds like adoption in a way, like a second family.
I think that's sort of the appeal of Magic for a lot of people, right? Is that when you go, it just feels like one big family in a way.
Right.
And then, but yeah, Tom and I were and are very close. Now they're friends, but growing up, they were definitely had some sort of, I guess, for lack of a better word, parental influence.
You're a very private guy, a guy of few words, many accomplishments. Are you shy, fundamentally?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think there are two different kinds of pro Magic players. There's one kind who wants everybody to think they're the best player, and there's one kind that wants themselves to think they're the best player. when I was a kid, I definitely wanted everybody to think I'm the best player. That's not what drives me anymore. As far as Magic, I'm very comfortable where I am. Like, I don't feel like if I don't win another match, I did fine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't have boxes left to check. I don't like have this constant desire to chase the high of winning. Like when I win, it feels great, but I don't go like, when's the next tournament? I need to win now, or I just feel like a loser. I don't feel that way anymore.
Okay, so
Like,
what are you chasing in life?
What drives me now is just helping other people. I very much value relationships that I have, both friendships I've made with, my peers and relationships where I sort of have more of a mentor-mentee role. I value all of those things. And, I hope to still win some more matches, but if I don't, that's okay.
Let's go to the first sort of mega year, which is 2003.
Yeah.
There's Pro Tour Chicago. Now, it turns out, obviously you can't know ahead of time that they're going to be Hall of Famers. But looking back, Kai Buddha, Nikolai Hertzog, John Finkel, Bram Snetvangers, and you, 5 Hall of Famers were in that top 8. Even though you couldn't put the HOF next to any of them, did you understand how good that field was?
In 2003, if you made a tournament top 8 and you put John, no disrespect to anybody else, but if you made a top 8 and you put John and Kai in it, you're like, well, this is the best top 8 of all time. I mean, that's all it took, right? Like they were so clearly the first and second best players currently and of all time that, like, yes, we were all aware going in to the John and Kai top 8 how good it was. I assure you of that.
I get the feeling that you are not, in a capital R sense, especially romantic. But was Boston a big deal because it was Boston? Or you just, I don't have to get on a plane?
I like team tournaments then. I like team tournaments now. But that was, the Team Pro Tour came around once a year. So I was super stoked about that. I believe I was the best Team Rochester drafter then, probably ever. I still believe that. And so I liked to apply that trade. What people don't know, maybe, watching this is Team Rochester was not like Draft Now. A good example is one time in another tournament, my team drafted against Finkel's team. Nobody really did anything but me and John but grabbed the cards. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like, okay, like the pack gets laid out. You have to think about what everybody has. And this was a time when cards mattered a lot more. Like there were, protection cards and land walking cards at common. The black removal didn't kill black creatures. The dynamics were much more complex in this kind of draft. So you have to remember what everybody has. And then it would be like, okay, I know what we're going to do now. And so they're counting down, 5 seconds. So then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to take, without talking though. So imagine this is all just only my hands and no words. It's like, all right, so I'm going to take this. You're going to take this. And then I literally just stop. So that gets done. I don't give any information away. What I'm hoping is going to happen for my teammate on the bounce. Because then, it goes, I take this. Whoever my teammate on my left takes this. The players pick. Then instantly, like Brock, let's say on my right, I have to go like, okay, you take this, and then you take that away from him. And so, because this card is too good against Matt's deck or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Like, and then basically the teammates are there as a check. That's the way it was, I think, for both John's team and my team. I think the Phoenix Foundation wasn't quite as extreme, but it would be like, I'll take this, I'll take this. Everybody would mostly just follow what we said, but occasionally both teammates would be like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, of course we should take this. And it's like, oh yeah, of course, take that.
Sure.
Or whatever. It's not as if I didn't have help. Like Ben Rubin, for example, Ben Rubin was really good. He and I were on a team for a while. And so one thing about Ben is he's not known for his quick decision-making, right? But we could analyze things together. We could develop the strategies, which we did. And he was very, very good at this. And then when it came go time, I could do it quickly, whereas he would need more time to think. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't as if like I solved everything by myself. That's not correct. I don't want to make it seem that way.
No. It doesn't at all.
Yeah.
But it's just that idea of what lights your fire is finally finding a challenge.
Well, that and doing it with other people.
Right. Which
I've always liked better.
Okay.
Like playing on a team has just always been more fun for me by a lot. It just gets me more excited. I think it's just better in life to share an experience with other people. Like, it's cool to win a Pro Tour, but it's much more fun to win when you share the experience with your two best friends, I promise.
At that time, Kai Buddha, Marco Bloom, and Dirk Babarowski, the three of them were known as the Phoenix Foundation, and they had won the previous 2 Team Pro Tours. So,
Yada, yada, yada.
wow, okie doke. So
I'll tell you the story of this. You can. I was eternally, maybe to a fault, I don't know, confident about this format. I always was. And I remember we had made the top 4 and we had to play the Phoenix Foundation first. It was like the way the bracket broke down is they were going to be our first match on Sunday. And like we went to the hotel room, and as you often do, you're just like laying in bed, just talking about God knows what, just absolute nonsense probably. And Matt, not really Brock, but Matt was like, oh, blah, blah. Like, we had a good run. And I'm like, dude, I got kind of angry. I'm like, I hate the defeatist attitude. Like, I'm going to win tomorrow. Just one of you, probably explicative filled rant, just like one of you win. You know, like, I'm going to win. I don't even give whatever. Like, I don't care. Kai this, Kai that. Like, I'm going to win. I know I'm going to win. Just one of you win, and then we'll win the tournament. Like, obviously, if we beat no disrespect to the other players, but obviously, if we win the first round, we're going to win the tournament. Just one of you win. Jeez. And then they were like, all right, man. And then we won. And then I won and we won.
So we move forward to the World Championship of 2017. You said earlier in our conversation that Boston 2003 wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't really totemic. But was Boston 2017 more of a real thing for you?
This is 2017. I don't know how many more times I'll get to play this tournament. It's in Boston. Like, the stars are all sort of aligned for me to really try. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I made a decision. Like, I was involved in some other projects in life. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to put everything on hold. I am just really, really going to give this 100%. Like, I'm going to try so hard for this tournament and then hope that it works out. So I went about a month before the tournament, and I'm not kidding. I played 10 hours of Magic a day every day. I mean, I remember about a week in, I started getting frustrated that I couldn't play enough. I've always contended that in the ages like, 12 to 18, when you really focus all your energy on one thing, you learn the thing so innately and intuitively. Your ability to get to a certain threshold in that pursuit gets so high. I don't mean me personally. I mean anybody. You take a John. Like, I think if John just dedicated himself to Magic full time, it would be the same way. Or anybody who played at that age. Because I just think it's true for music, chess, math, art. When I think those are the years you really learn. Now, I think you could take some of the most brilliant people in the world, and you could teach them anything at age 30, 35, 40, and they might be great, but I don't think they're ever going to quite be at the level who's somebody who's a brilliant person who did these things when they were in those years will be.
We're out of time, so let's wrap things up with our questionnaire. Here we go. We give these to our players in advance. So, William Huey Jensen, what's your favorite word or phrase in Magic?
I prepared for these, but I forget what I had for this one.
Okay. I'll move on. Your favorite color?
Blue.
Correct. Your favorite card?
Trade Wind Rider.
What's the best deck you ever played? Please tell me.
Extended Necro Donate.
Oh, okay.
I think it was around 99, GP Philadelphia.
Yeah, that was filthy. Within its own format and time, what do you think is the best deck ever made, whether or not you played
the
it?
deck I just named.
Of course.
Yeah.
What turns you on? What lights your fire?
Music.
What turns you off?
In ignorance.
Other than gaming, what profession would you like to try if you had the ability?
If I could go back in time and try something, like if I really gave it my all, I think it would be cool to try being a musician.
Any particular instrument?
I would like to. I still in life would like to learn how to play the piano.
I know someone
and the guitar.
Yeah,
I know you're great. I've seen you play
piano.
I could
hook you up with the piano. Yeah,
I think I might be too old.
I don't think that's true. Am I too old to learn how to be good at Magic?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I already told you about this.
Okay, last question. It's all I can cope with. If at some point, you are so rude. If at some point you're no longer playing Magic competitively, what do you hope that people will say about you, first as a Magic player, and second as a person?
I hope that people say they learned from me when it comes to Magic, and that having me around made their lives better as a person.
William Jensen, 2017 Magic the Gathering World Champion, Hall of Famer, Lyra owner and companion. Thank you so much for being on Profiles.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks to our guests William Jensen, Javier Dominguez and Paula Vita Dama de Rosa, and to you for watching Profiles. If you want to watch more episodes of this and other exciting Magic the Gathering esports content, please subscribe.